I never imagined I would be the kind of man who would uncover his wife's betrayal. Our marriage had always felt like a fortress, strong, impenetrable, a safe haven built over nearly a decade of love, trust, and shared experiences. Lisa and I had a beautiful life together. We owned a cozy home, had a close-knit group of friends, and, at least in my mind, shared an unshakable bond. But all of that came crashing down the moment I stumbled upon the truth. It started on an ordinary evening, a day like any other. I was in the kitchen when Lisa's phone, sitting on the counter, buzzed incessantly. Normally, I wouldn't have paid much attention. But this time, something felt off. It wasn't the number of notifications that unsettled me. It was the name that flashed on the screen. Dan from work. I knew Dan. He was Lisa's co-worker, someone I had met a handful of times at office parties. He had always been polite, maybe a little too charming, but I had never given it much thought. That night, however, curiosity got the better of me. I glanced at the screen and my heart stopped. The preview of the message read, "Asterisk last night was unforgettable. Can't wait to see you again, asterisk." A sharp, sickening wave of nausea rolled through me. My fingers hesitated as I picked up her phone, desperately hoping I had misunderstood. But as I scrolled to the messages, the truth became undeniable. Their texts were filled with passion, secrecy, and longing. They had been meeting regularly, stealing moments that were supposed to belong to me. Every word I read drove a fresh knife into my heart. My hands trembled as I set the phone down. My world had just shattered, but I knew I couldn't react impulsively. No, I needed more. Proof. Evidence. If Lisa was betraying me, I would make sure there was no room for denial. Over the next few weeks, I became a ghost in my own home. I installed a discreet camera in the living room, synced her phone to an old tab of mine, and even used a GPS tracker to follow her movements. What I uncovered was worse than I had imagined. Their affair wasn't just a brief lapse in judgment. It was a full-blown relationship. Lunch dates turned into hotel rendezvous. Late-night whispered phone calls when she thought I was asleep. Lies layered upon lies. With each new discovery, I felt something inside me harden. I was no longer the same man. The betrayal had stripped me of my naivety, replacing it with a cold, calculating resolve. I wasn't going to scream, cry, or beg. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing how deeply she had wounded me. Instead, I was going to dismantle her world the way she had dismantled mine. Over the next month, I put my plan into motion. First, I secured my finances. I quietly liquidated our shared savings, transferring the money into an account solely in my name. The house, purchased with my inheritance, was legally mine. I met with a lawyer, ensuring that if anything happened to me, Lisa wouldn't see a single cent. I also began packing away anything of sentimental value. Family heirlooms, important documents, treasured keepsakes, moving them to a secure storage unit. Then came the final act. On the day I decided to end it all, I called in sick to work. Lisa was at the office, likely sneaking glances at Dan and exchanging flirtatious texts, unaware that her world was about to collapse. I had hired a moving crew in secret, and by 10 a.m., they arrived to strip the house bare. Every piece of furniture, every decoration, every remnant of the life we had built together, gone. By the afternoon, only the walls remained, cold and empty, just like my heart. In the center of the living room, I placed a single dining table with 2 chairs. On the table sat a manila envelope and a single red rose. Before leaving, I set a projector, programmed to play a slideshow on the blank wall, a curated collection of every incriminating text, photo, and video I had gathered. A haunting tribute to her betrayal. I sent Lisa a simple text, asterisk come home. We need to talk, asterisk. From my car, I watched as she pulled into the driveway at 6 p.m. She hesitated at the door, likely sensing something was wrong. When she stepped inside, I imagined confusion washing over her as she took in the empty house. And then the slideshow began. I waited exactly 5 minutes before entering. She was seated at the table, her face pale, her hands trembling as she stared at the envelope before her. The projector flickered behind her, casting a cruel glow of betrayal across the room. "What is this?" she choked out, tears streaming down her face. I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I took the seat opposite her, folded my arms as I leaned back. "It's everything you thought I'd never find out." Her eyes darted between me and the images flashing on the wall. "This isn't what it looks like. I can explain." "Save it." My voice was calm, controlled. "The evidence speaks for itself. Every lie, every excuse, every time you looked me in the eye and told me you loved me, it's all there." I gestured toward the envelope. "Open it." She hesitated, then, with shaking hands, broke the seal. Inside was a single sheet of paper, divorce papers, already signed by me. "I've had enough," I said. "You disrespected me, our marriage, and everything we built together. There's nothing left to say." Her breath hitched as she frantically looked around. "But where is everything? The furniture? My clothes?" "Gone," I replied simply. "The house is mine. Everything in it was either mine or packed away. You have nothing here anymore." Her sobs grew desperate. "Where am I supposed to go?" I shrugged. "That's not my concern anymore. You're free to go wherever you want, with whomever you want." I stood, walking toward the door. Just before stepping out, I turned back. "Oh, and one more thing." She looked up, eyes filled with dread. "Dan won't be much help." I smirked. "I forwarded everything to HR, your office. I'm sure they'll have a lot of questions for both of you tomorrow." A strangled cry escaped her lips as I stepped outside, closing the door behind me without a second glance. That night, for the first time in weeks, I slept soundly. The weight of betrayal had been lifted, replaced by the satisfaction of knowing I had reclaimed my life. In the following weeks, I finalized the divorce, cut all ties, and started fresh. Lisa, disgraced and humiliated, left town. As for me, I rebuilt. I bought new furniture, reconnected with old friends, and even joined a hiking group to fill my weekends. One evening, standing on the porch of my newly furnished home, whiskey in hand, I watched the sun set over the horizon. A quiet peace settled over me, something I hadn't felt in a long time. I had been broken, but in that breaking, I had found a strength I never knew I possessed.